I have two daughters, Leanne, 19, and Lucy, 16. I adore my girls, but since I remarried Rebecca fairly soon after the divorce, they weren't impressed, especially since I gained a stepdaughter, Sophie, 18. I did my best, but they remain closer to their mother to this day, and when the lockdowns first started they wished to stay with her and communicate with me through tech. Clarification because everyone was asking. I did not cheat. My ex-wife Sharon has been struggling since the pandemic. Money is tight for both her and her boyfriend Luke, and with them and both the girls there's not a lot of space. Leanne especially is coping very poorly, and Sharon asked if I was willing to have her for a short while, apparently, at Leanne's request. I was surprised by this, since she was the one who felt most negatively towards me after the divorce, and we recently had a big fight because she dropped out of university. So I agreed knowing that it would be tough. But her behavior hasn't been acceptable. She's rude to Rebecca. She frequently takes clothes of Sophie's. She says she and Lucy share things all the time, but their relationship and attitudes to clothes are different. Sophie's wardrobe is essentially sacred to her for reasons I don't have the word count to explain, but can in the comments if deemed relevant. Leanne also makes a lot of noise, symptom of her mother's household, swears a lot, is messy, and very aggressive when she doesn't get her way or is rebuked for her behavior, particularly if it's Rebecca that says something. Tensions have been rising lately because Sophie was due to start university again today. Leanne and I fought about this as I mentioned, so it was a delicate subject regardless, and with Leanne's noise disturbance, Sophie has found it difficult to concentrate on her prep work, so they've been arguing even more. Sophie bought a new shirt and necklace for her first meeting today, a new outfit for a specific event is Sophie code for I'm stressed about this, the idea of an online term is quite daunting. Today, she went to get dressed and found the blouse ripped apart and the necklace destroyed on her bed. She started crying, there was a big fight, Rebecca calmed Sophie down in time for her class, and I sent Leanne to her room and told her to stay there until her mother arrives to pick her up. Not just the vandalism, but the fact that she deliberately searched for the item she knew Sophie had chosen to calm herself down for her class, just too much for me. I've said I'm happy to take Lucy if space is still an issue, but Leanne can't live in my house if she's going to destroy her stepsister's property and make life difficult for everyone. Sharon, Luke, and Leanne all say I'm an idiot for putting them in this position and not prioritizing Leanne because she's my daughter, they won't pick her up, so am I the idiot. Wow, not the idiot. Your daughter is an adult, her stepsister would be well in her right to sue her. At this point, she chose to be evil. Your ex doesn't want to pick her up, no worries, put her in an Uber. And put conditions for her coming back if you ever consider letting her. Apologies, therapy, and strict respect of your rules and your stepsister's space. And paying for what she destroyed, or replacing it. Your daughter is way too old to act like a toddler in my opinion. Not the idiot. Your daughter is not a child anymore. She is a fully grown woman and should therefore start acting accordingly. Vandalism is a criminal offense no matter what her reasoning. If she wants to act like a spoiled brat just because you have remarried, then she should be prepared to suffer the consequences. Plus, it's not like you are making your daughter homeless. You asked your ex-wife to take her. Your ex is the idiot if she can't take her daughter in after you did it for her. Yes, she may be your daughter, but so is Sophie now, and she has a right to feel safe and respected in her new home. Not the idiot. But have you ever hashed out the divorce emotionally with your children? Any post-divorce therapy for any of you? It sounds like she has some pretty hefty resentment. And while I don't think you were unjustified or the idiot, you do have to think about what relationship you want to have with your daughter going forward. Setting boundaries is definitely healthy, but so is addressing issues that cause anger and resentment, and that seems like it was not happening here. I wish the best for the both of you and hope you find a more positive way forward. But last year my 22 husband, 30, and I announced that I was pregnant. She, 23, got so mad at me and told me that the best option was to have an abortion because I'm really young. At that time I told her that I wasn't going to do that and that I was going to keep the baby, but she didn't respect my decision because she spent at least the entire first trimester giving me reasons to abort. About the 4th month she stopped because I got sick and my pregnancy was at risk. I guess she stopped because she realized that I was very sad and scared because I really wanted to have this baby, I don't know. Well, now I'm 7 months pregnant and she acts like I'm not pregnant. She never asks anything about my baby like the rest of our friends do. Basically, she ignores my daughter, and I was fine with that because I thought that maybe she doesn't like children. But I think I was wrong because the other day when we were having lunch with our friend we were talking about college and she joked saying something like she would like so bad to be me. I asked her why and she just laughed and said my life was so easy. She was like, you met a wealthy man and you got pregnant as fast as you could and you don't have to worry about money or college anymore. I asked her what she was talking about and she told me that I didn't have to pretend with her because she knows that I got pregnant on purpose because I wanted to live a good life and that otherwise I would have aborted. Our friend told her that she was being really rude, that she knows what kind of person I am and that I would never do something like that, but she just said that it was a joke and that I shouldn't be offended. The point is that after that our relationship was not the same, she didn't apologize, and when I tried to talk to her, she told me that she would talk to me only if I learned how to take a joke. Honestly, I didn't try to talk to her again, but now one of our friends planned a birthday party for me. It was last week, but I was very sick, so we had to postpone it. We will be only 10 people, is what is allowed in our country, and I don't want to invite her. I don't know if I'm overreacting or what, but I don't want to invite her because I feel like lately, she hates me, and I don't want her to ruin my day. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, she's not your friend. She's toxic, she insisted on an abortion. For a kid you actually want. What the hell, why are you still talking to her? She's implying you're a good digger. Let's say that you and your husband got pregnant on purpose, actively seeking for a child. How that would be a problem. Many couples do it all the time. And if it wasn't planned and you both decided to keep it, that's great too. Take care of yourself and your family, cut this toxic person out of your life, she's jealous and it's not right. Anyway, congrats on your new family member. Not the idiot, how did you become friends with her in the first place? No real friend would spend almost 4 months trying to convince their friend to get an abortion to get rid of their own baby, and that fails, then spent all the times you would meet up together making crappy comments about your pregnancy while insulting you at the same time. Do not invite her to the party, and I would highly suggest you cut her off and block her on all of your social media account and her phone number. Not the idiot, these are the worst. They make these backhanded comments and then proclaim it was a joke, and suddenly it's your fault because you can't take a joke. Think of the vilest thing you can say to her, and the next time she makes a comment, lob that back at her, and then tell her to lighten up, it was a joke, and then keep throwing the same kind of comment until she gets it. Or, you know, just don't invite her to the party and cut her from your life. I, 18, began my first year of university in February this year. My mother, 51, quit her job last year and has gone back to university this year to get her master's. We are both full-time students. Mom has been completely obsessive and borderline delusional about her marks. She's averaging 90% for all her subjects and is getting special honors for many assignments, but she's ridiculously competitive with the other students in her course and throws a fit when she doesn't get the best mark in her cohort. She's come up with this conspiracy theory that a course coordinator is out to get her and is purposely taking marks off her work for no reason, even though she's not got a bad mark all year. When she gets a result that she doesn't like, she throws temper tantrums and calls in a complaint to her university. The day she came into my room complaining that she'd only received an 85% for an assignment and that it had brought her average for the subject down considerably. She also complained that someone else in her class had gotten a higher mark than her. I told Mom that I'm averaging an 85% in my best subject this year and that most university students think an 85% is a great mark. She kept on complaining, saying she didn't know why she'd gotten an 85%. I was really frustrated and told her that I couldn't sympathize with her on the issue. I don't feel sorry for her that she isn't getting the 95% marks that she allegedly deserves, but I do feel sorry that she's putting so much pressure on herself about marks. Mom clarified that she's not putting pressure on herself, she's just angry that her work isn't getting the recognition it deserves, so I pointed out that an 85% is a high distinction and should suffice as recognition within itself. Mom wasn't getting what she wanted out of me, so she left the room. She comes back in shortly after and tells me she submitted a complaint to her course coordinator about the mark. I roll my eyes at her because it is a Karen move and she starts having a go at me, saying that she's allowed to be upset and that I should want to listen and have a conversation with her about it and show basic empathy. So I tell mom that I honestly do not care that she's upset about an 85% and that I don't want to hear about it again. She spent my entire life putting academic pressure on me, and it screws that she puts the same amount of pressure on herself. But hearing my mother call an 85% a crap mark rubs me the wrong way, pisses me off, and makes me anxious about my own academic performance. I told her that I wasn't going to continue indulging obsessive, delusional, and toxic behavior, and that she should take her angst about grades to a therapist rather than her teenage daughter because I'm not equipped to help her. Mom accused me of making everything about me all the time, being self-centered and not caring about her or her issues. She essentially told me that I am an idiot. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, your mom is being overdramatic. University assignments are designed to create a bell curve of marks and are usually almost impossible to get full marks for. It is definitely reasonable to have an assessment that is below your personal average, as every person has their strengths and weakness, especially when they are still learning. As you would know, when assessments are handed back, they are typically given back along with a marking rubric and feedback in order to allow students to improve. Not the idiot. If your mom was interested in learning, then the best course of action would be emailing or setting an appointment with a professor and asking, "Hey, I thought this assignment was really good and I don't understand why it deserved this grade. Could you show me what I missed and tell me how to improve for the next one?" Of course, there are bad professors around, like any other profession, but if they're decent, they would be happy to help someone grow and learn. Acting as if you are entitled to a grade and know more than the professor on a subject they teach doesn't end well. Everyone's the idiot here. I am your mom's age and the thought of returning for an advanced degree terrifies me. She may be feeling insecure and full of self-doubt. She might feel like she needs to prove herself to herself and others who might be ageist. I'm not going to call her a narcissist based on one post. Her anxiety may be getting the better of her. Well, us olds aren't stupid or Luddites, our brains are just not as flexible as they once were. I know I need to work much harder to understand and retain information than when I was in my 20s and 30s. Yesterday I got home from work and the apartment was empty. I share it with a guy and a girl I knew from college. I'm a girl, by the way. I went to my room and put on my Bluetooth noise-canceling headphones and called my friend. She lives a couple states away now, and we have a long call every few weeks to catch up. I usually call her right after work. My roommates tend to work later, so I'm used to having privacy for the call. We talked about work, our sports, her new apartment, all sorts of stuff. Then we started talking about my living situation. I said, "Oh, I'm so frustrated with my roommate John. He has a new girl over every few days, and he doesn't even take them to his bedroom. He'll hang out in the living room and watch Netflix, and I'll just walk in on him feeling them up. Plus I swear they're stealing my shampoo and conditioner. Like, have they never learned to pack a hoe bag with their own toiletries? And I can't even freaking tell them to pack their own shower stuff because it's never the same girl twice. What do I even do? Make a goddamn sign. Dear all of John's one-night stands." My friend was laughing hard, plus I was wearing my noise-canceling headphones, so I didn't hear a thing but our conversation. I was raising my voice near the end for comedic effect, not because I was really that mad. A couple minutes later, we were talking about something else and I heard pounding on my bedroom door. I told her to wait a minute and went to the door. John was there and he was mad. He'd come home with a date and they were sitting down to watch something when she heard my whole tirade, and he was sure I'd known he had a girl over and did it on purpose. I said I wasn't doing that, I thought I was alone and I was just venting and making my friend laugh. But he didn't believe me, he snapped at me for being petty, etc. He also said it sounded psycho to make a bathroom sign, and I was like, chill, that was obviously a joke. I told him to walk it off. My friend was still on the line and I wanted to talk to her. He's still pissed off a day later. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You didn't realize he was home, and if you had known he was there, with or without a guest, you wouldn't have said that. You got caught out accidentally. I do feel bad for the girl who heard it, but not your douchey roommate. You have addressed it with him previously. He has blown you off. It's kind of a reach to call it lovemaking harassment, so I won't, but in participating in lovemaking activity in a common area when you've told him it makes you, or any reasonable person, uncomfortable is not cool at all. Not the idiot. I don't really see why it's that big a deal. One date of his went badly one time because of an accidentally overheard conversation. You thought you were alone in your home. If you did it on purpose then you would be an idiot, but accidents happen. You apologized, he needs to get over it. It's not like you go up to all these girls and deliberately tell them about his activities when they're over. It's not like you're sharing intimate personal details of his life that he confided in you. He's making out with these random girls and having foreplay in common areas of the house you share. Not the idiot. I'm very surprised by all of you are the idiots. You obviously learned your lesson, make absolutely sure that someone you're talking crap about isn't home before you do so. That's embarrassing and awkward, I'm sorry that happened, but you gotta be more careful in the future, obviously. Regarding your roommate, he sounds like he doesn't respect boundaries or respect your feelings, so it's hypocritical for him to be so upset about him, plus the girl overhearing you when he doesn't respect you enough to not feel up girls in the common area. I, 35, have a son, 11. My sister, 50, is upset that I don't allow her to pick up my son and take him on trips or outings. 5 or 6 years ago, I let my son stay with my mother and sister for 5 days. My son stayed with my mother, but my sister was around him a lot while he was there. When my husband and I picked up my son, my sister told me that she made sure my son did a lot of fun things and told him that he could always have that much fun if he got his mom and dad to move to the town they were in. She said she knows I do whatever my son wants me to do, so she made sure to take the opportunity to make him want to live in the same town as her. It really bothered me that she did this. I know she didn't hurt my son outright, but I feel like she used him to try to control me. Even if she did this by making sure he had lots of fun, it was still wrong. A few years after this first incident, we were thinking of inviting my nephew, not her kid, to live with us. My sister and I were talking on the phone about it. When I told her that I wanted to take my nephew in, she got angry. She let me know that she would make sure that any court documents giving me custody said she would be allowed to pick up my nephew anytime she wanted. She said he would pick up my nephew as often as she could and make sure he lots of fun, so my son would be hurt and angry that he didn't go to. She said that then I would have to let her pick up my son whenever she wanted, or else I would have to see how hurt he was at being left out of all the fun she would have with my nephew. My mother told me the other day that I should move past these 2 incidents because it really hurts my sister's feelings. Move past equals give her access to my son. I told my mother that it is wrong to ask me to drop my boundaries just because my sister doesn't like the consequences of her own words and actions. Am I the idiot for not letting my sister be alone with my son? Not the idiot, and it seems your sister is not coping with her trauma and almost seems like she is copying the trauma that hurt her. If you haven't already, I would try and sit her down, explain how her actions are very troubling and similar to what you had to go through. That just because there is space doesn't mean you don't love her, but you are just making sure your family has room to grow. You are also going to have to explain to her that what she is doing is emotional manipulation, and that is why she is not allowed to see your son. Not the idiot, I hope her behavior did not impact your choice on whether or not to allow your other nephew to live with you, because no court in the world would give her what she is asking for under these conditions. And at this point, you would be wise to go no contact with her and to allow your mother to only see your son under your direct supervision, with the stipulation that if your sister shows up you and your son are leaving. Not the idiot. Why is your sister so obsessed with your son? Or obsessed with controlling you? I understand visiting either way, but access is pretty unusual if it's not necessary. Your sister is weirdly possessive of your son. She has emotionally manipulated him in the past to try and manipulate you. And she has threatened to use your nephew to make your son upset in order to manipulate you. Neither of those things speaks to a great soundness of mind.